Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really focusing on something vital for, well, pretty much every business out there, cybersecurity.
Absolutely. It's top of mind for so many.
Yeah, so we've got some material here looking at EnterpriseRed. They're a consultancy, and their angle seems to be providing, strong security solutions, but also keeping them cost-effective, cutting edge too.
Right. Affordable and advanced. That's the tricky balance.
Exactly. So our aim today is to sort of unpack how they help businesses handle these, well, growing threats we keep hearing about.
Especially with things like generative AI ramping things up.
Right. And also how they help manage security resources, smartly and navigate that whole compliance maze. It just seems to get more complex.
It really does. And the consequences of getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Well, they can be pretty severe. We're talking big financial hits, reputational damage, the works.
For sure. And from what we're seeing, EnterpriseRed really pushes this sort of multifaceted approach. It's not just defense, is it?
No, not at all. It's about actively cutting down risk, making sure you tick all the regulatory boxes, compliance.
And actually helping the business grow safely. That's an interesting angle.
It is. Security as an enabler, not just a cost center.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. How do they actually tackle these big challenges businesses are facing?
Well, maybe we should start with the absolute core. Actually protecting your business.
Makes sense.
Because, in this digital age, strong cybersecurity, it's not optional, right? It's basic survival.
It really feels that way.
Think of it like a castle. You need that strong drawbridge. You've got to control what information gets in and what gets out.
That's a good way to put it, a drawbridge. So to build that drawbridge, what does EnterpriseRed actually offer? What are the services?
Well, it's quite a range. They talk about doing thorough risk assessments, basically finding your weak spots.
Okay, so knowing where the problems might be.
Exactly. And then having a solid plan, incident response for if or maybe when an attack happens. How do you react quickly?
Prey, damage control.
Then there's employee training, making sure your people aren't accidentally opening the door.
The human element, always key.
Always. Plus 24/7 monitoring, keeping an eye on things constantly. Securing your cloud setups, which so many rely on now.
And compliance guidance, helping navigate those rules we mentioned.
Yeah, it seems pretty comprehensive. They're looking at the whole life cycle, from prevention with the assessments and training right through to the response if something bad does happen.
And that training bit, it feels really crucial. Often hear that people are the weakest link, unfortunately.
It's often true. Technology is great, but awareness is vital.
Now, one big issue for loads of companies, maybe smaller ones especially, is how do you afford all this? How do you manage it without a giant IT department full of security gurus? We know there's a skills shortage there.
Oh, absolutely. Finding and keeping cybersecurity talent is tough and expensive.
So how does EnterpriseRed address that?
Well, their pitch seems to be about helping you get more out of the team you already have. Improving productivity, making your existing IT folks more effective on the security front.
So doing more with less, essentially, without just throwing money at it.
Exactly. Making your current resources work harder and smarter for security.
Okay, that leads nicely into minimizing risk and achieving compliance. Because the rules have gotten tougher, haven't they, since GDPR back in 2018?
Oh, significantly. GDPR was a bit of a watershed moment, and things have only tightened since. The potential fines for non-compliance are, well, eye-watering sometimes.
And it keeps changing, right? You mentioned some specifics.
Yeah, there's the ICO's Cyber Essentials Plus certification here in the UK. That became more prominent in 2023, and you often need it now for supply chain stuff or public sector work.
Okay, so it's becoming a requirement.
Increasingly, yes. And then looking ahead, October 2024 brings the NIS2 directive. That's going to affect a lot more sectors dealing with Europe.
NIS2.
And then for the financial sector specifically, there's DORA, the Digital Operational Resilience Act, coming in January 2025.
Wow. Okay, so it's a lot to keep on top of.
It really is. It's a full-time job just tracking the changes sometimes.
So it's good that EnterpriseRed explicitly says they help with this stuff, the compliance, the certifications, helping businesses navigate it all.
And focusing on preventative measures, too, not just cleaning up messes, but trying to stop them happening by meeting these standards. That proactive approach is key.
Yeah, because avoiding the fines is one thing, but there's a bigger picture, isn't there? They had a statistic about customer trust.
That's right, yeah, I saw that. 84% of customers say they'd likely switch suppliers after a cyber attack. 84%.
That's huge. That really brings it home. Good security isn't just overhead, it's fundamental to keeping your customers and actually growing the business.
Precisely. It links directly back to enabling growth, which we mentioned earlier. If customers don't trust your security, they'll just go elsewhere.
So EnterpriseRed is positioning security as a business enabler.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
And tied into the budget point we discussed, they also talk about finding value. They actively look for newer tech from, I think they call them best-of-breed providers.
Okay.
The idea is to find alternatives to the really big, maybe more expensive traditional vendors, finding tech that's proven but perhaps more cost-effective for certain needs.
That makes sense. Sometimes the biggest name isn't always the best fit or the best value. What about the supply chain? That seems to be a growing worry, especially with AI attacks.
A huge worry. Your security is only as strong as your weakest link, and often that link is somewhere in your supply chain. AI just makes finding and exploiting those weaknesses easier for attackers.
So if your supplier gets hit, you could be affected too.
Definitely. Data breaches, operational disruption, it flows down the chain. So EnterpriseRed says they help build resilience there, protecting you from contract losses if your supply chain isn't secure, and again, enabling growth by making you a more secure partner.
Right, it's all interconnected. So how do they actually deliver all this? You mentioned partners. That seems core to their model.
Yeah, they don't pretend to do everything themselves. They leverage partnerships with these innovative best-of-breed providers, as they put it. It's about picking the right tools for the job from specialists.
Okay, so who are some of these partners? What do they bring?
Well, they listed quite a few. For example, Arctic Wolf. You might know them better as BlackBerry Silence previously.
Oh, right. BlackBerry Silence.
Yeah. Their thing is using AI and machine learning for threat detection. It's signatureless, meaning it doesn't just rely on known virus definitions.
So it can catch new threats. Zero-day stuff.
Exactly. Across endpoints, networks, the cloud. And apparently it's quite lightweight. It doesn't bog systems down too much.
Okay, that's Arctic Wolf. Who else?
Then there's Brand Defense. They use AI too, but for scanning the wider web, dark web, public web, looking for risks to your brand, like leaked data or planned attacks. Gives you early warnings.
Proactive intelligence gathering. Got it.
And Core. They offer a kind of modular platform. 14 different security tools, apparently, all integrate into one system, one agent, one AI engine. Could simplify things a lot.
Yeah, managing loads of different tools can be a nightmare. So one platform. Interesting. What about the people side again?
For that, they partner with SibSafe. Security awareness training, human risk management, trying to make employees part of the solution, not the problem.
Makes sense. Hitting that human element.
Then Cyberverse. This looks like an all-in-one compliance helper aimed at things like ISO certification, providing monitoring, scanning, training, and even linking up with cyber insurance. Part of an ER Cyber Protect package, they call it.
Simplifying compliance. Always welcome. Email security. Still a massive attack vector.
Absolutely. For that, they partner with Libreza, advanced protection specifically for Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace. Big focus on stopping phishing and email fraud.
Good focus. What about testing defenses?
Yeah.
Penetration testing.
They work with Razorthorn for that. They're CREST approved, which is a good industry standard. They do pen testing and other security tests. And interestingly, they have an automated pen testing platform too.
Automated testing. And visibility. Seeing what's actually on your network.
Ribasoft handles that. Real-time visibility of your IT estate, they say.
Right.
It works at the network level, so no need to install agents everywhere. It shows you device configurations, vulnerabilities, gives you a clear map.
Agentless discovery. That can be useful. Backup. Always crucial.
Red Store is their partner there. Cloud backup, no hardware needed. Covers a wide range of data sources, M365, Google, SaaS apps, cloud data generally. They stress rapid recovery and specifically mention backing up Microsoft Entra ID.
Entra ID backup. Yeah, that's becoming really important for identity management. What about protecting your brand via email? Impersonation.
For that, they use SendBarak. It's a platform for managing DMARC, DCOM, SPF, those technical email standards that prove your emails are legitimate. Help stop people spoofing your domain for fraud or phishing.
Right, locking down your email identity.
And one more for moving data around, like big email migrations between systems or archives. They use Ultimate Technologies' Ultimate Migrator tool.
Okay, wow. That's a pretty extensive ecosystem of partners. Covers a lot of different security bases.
It really does. From detection and prevention to response, compliance, testing, backup, seems quite thorough.
So let's maybe zoom in on a few specific solutions EnterpriseRed themselves are really pushing based on these partnerships. They mentioned cost savings in email security and archiving.
Yes. That seemed like a key point for them. They highlighted having a proven, cost-effective way to help companies move off expensive older systems, even if you've got huge email archives, addressing that budget pain point directly.
Migrating big archives can be a massive headache and cost, so offering a solution there is smart.
Definitely. They also packaged something called Supply Chain Cyber Protect.
Okay, what's that?
It sounds like a dedicated bundle for companies needing to prove their supply chain security. Includes guidance, automated audits, help fixing gaps, and support getting accredited. Very targeted.
Yeah, with things like Cyber Essentials Plus being needed in supply chains, a package like that makes a lot of sense.
And they strongly recommend Red Store for immutable third-party backup.
Immutable meaning it can't be changed or deleted, right? Ransomware protection.
Exactly. Critical against ransomware. They position Red Store as cost-effective, scalable, covering all those key cloud platforms, M365, Google, Entra ID, SaaS data, big focus on operational resilience and compliance needs.
Makes sense. If your backups are safe, you can recover without paying ransoms.
It's becoming a non-negotiable part of data protection.
And endpoint protection, what are they recommending there?
They're really highlighting BlackBerry Cylance, now under Arctic Wolf, as a top MDR EDR option that's managed detection and response, endpoint detection and response.
Okay.
They position it as high performance but low cost, pointing to decades of experience and this really high ROI figure, 293%. Basically, strong protection for your computers and devices, integrating well with other tools, and backed by Arctic Wolf's Security Operations Center, SOC, and remediation services.
So effective protection, good value, and support included.
Seems to be the message. And finally, that DMRC piece for stopping email impersonation, they push SendMark as their go-to independent solution.
Independent meaning it works with any email system.
Looks like it. They stress the risks of not having DMRs, deposit fraud, ransomware delivery, identity theft, brand damage, and position SendMark as the way to lock down your email domain properly.
Right, protecting your brand's reputation via email. Crucial. Okay, so they have these partners, these solutions, but how do businesses actually pay for it all, especially if budgets are tight?
Good question. They seem very aware of budget pressures. They specifically mention offering managed security services on an operational expenditure or OPEX model.
So monthly payments instead of big upfront costs.
Exactly. Like a subscription. They mention this for Red Store backup, SendRC email protection, and RebaSoft network visibility. Makes it more like a predictable operating cost.
That could definitely help with cash flow.
For sure. And they also said that even bigger cybersecurity projects, software, hardware, consultancy, can potentially be funded through OPEX too, often with discounts for multi-year commitments.
So lots of flexibility in how you finance the security you need.
It appears so. Trying to remove that initial cost barrier.
Okay, so if someone listening is thinking, this sounds interesting, maybe relevant to me, what's the next step? How do they engage with EnterpriseRed?
They seem to favor a very personal starting point. They suggest just a 30-minute video call initially. Low commitment.
Just a chat.
Yeah, basically to understand your specific situation, your needs, your challenges. Not a hard sell, more of a discovery call.
That sounds sensible. Trying to build a relationship rather than just shifting products.
That's the impression. They talk about wanting long-term relationships, helping clients stay ahead of the curve as threats evolve, and they're clear that they want to talk to businesses of any size.
So don't be shy if you're a smaller company.
Seems that way. Reach out for that initial chat.
And how do people actually do that? How do they get in touch?
They gave quite a few options. You can email them, sales@enterpriser.com.
Okay, sales@enterpriser.com.
Or call them, 0118-228-6207.
0118-228-6207.
Got it. They're on LinkedIn. Just search EnterpriseRed Cybersecurity. On X, formerly Twitter, they're EnterpriseRed.
EnterpriseRed on X. Okay.
They have a YouTube channel, just EnterpriseRed. And they even have their own podcast, enterpriseatbitesize.podbean.com.
Wow, okay. Plenty of ways to connect then. Email, phone, LinkedIn, X, YouTube, even their own podcast.
Yeah, they've made it pretty easy to find them.
Great. So just to kind of wrap things up then, it feels like EnterpriseRed is offering a broad and adaptable way to handle cybersecurity. It's not just one thing. It covers risk, compliance, budget, growth.
Yeah, it's that comprehensive view, understanding the business context, not just the technical threats, and that commitment to finding value, using innovative partners alongside their own expertise. It seems like a pragmatic approach.
Recognizing that security is this continuous thing, always changing, needing that proactive effort.
Absolutely. You can't just set it, forget it.
So a final thought maybe for you listening, reflecting on all this, the rising threats, the importance of resilience. maybe think about one thing, just one immediate step you could take in your own organization to improve your security posture after hearing this.
Yeah, maybe it's looking into DMRs or reviewing your backup strategy or even just scheduling that initial chat we talked about.
Exactly. A small step could make a big difference. Definitely worth exploring the resources mentioned or reaching out if anything sparked your interest. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.